Hi there, we are back with our editing today. And as you can remember from last Tuesday, your goal as writers, your ICANN was to work on revising. I can revise my personal narrative. And today you're going to work on editing your personal narrative. So for revising, remember we talked about we do revising first because that's where we added new words, we substitute words for words that we might have used repetitively, we rearrange sentences or parts of our piece. Sometimes we just take out stuff that really doesn't need to be there. The difference between revising and editing, remember, is editing is making those changes to your capitals and your different word usage that you have in your story, and punctuation such as periods, commas, quotation marks, and last but not least, your spelling. So today, as writers, after you watch the mini lesson, you're going to be working on going back through reading each sentence of your personal narrative. And you're going to look at the capitals. Are proper nouns capitalized? Places. If there's a title of a book or something in your story, the month, and the first word in every sentence should be capitalized. Here you're going to make sure you're using the correct type of word, meaning like if it's past tense or if it's already happened or it's currently happening. So making sure those past tense and grammar words are proper. And then also for punctuation, you need to make sure you have periods, and quotes should be around dialogue. Commas, colons, we haven't quite talked about yet, and you might not run into an area of your piece that needs a colon. Make sure if you're showing ownership, there's an apostrophe. Also, if you're using a contraction, and end marks. So ending of sentences, such as a question mark or an exclamation point if something is really exciting. And last but not least, checking your spelling in your personal narrative. So I'm going to go ahead and model what it looks like to edit and how I would edit on my personal narrative. But today I'm going to use just a different piece. It's called The Beach, to show you how I would edit what was incorrect on that page. And then you're going to apply what I am teaching you in this lesson to your personal narrative. Let's go ahead and share my screen with you. So here is a proofreading page, and it says editing. How many mistakes can you find? It also wants me to make sure I'm using some of the symbols. And I'm not so crazy about, making sure you use every symbol correctly, but making sure you're making the changes that are necessary. And obviously in your personal narrative, it's on Google Docs. So you're going to make sure you backspace, retype, and make sure you add in the punctuation, check your spelling, even if you think a word is spelled wrong. You need to make sure all of your word usage, your spelling is correct. So the first thing I notice in this piece right here is there is a problem. This is a paragraph, and they didn't do something at the very beginning of the paragraph. I'm wondering if anybody of you can tell me at home. If you said there's no indent, you're correct. So I'm going to go ahead and look over here. There is no little symbol other than this right here, and it shows that you would put this in to show that there needs to be, and I like to write an indent here because this is the start of a new paragraph. So that's the first thing that needs to be done. So make sure that you're checking that in your piece. It says, do you know Ryan did last weekend? That sentence doesn't sound correct. I'm thinking there's a few things wrong with it. It says, do you know? There is more than one no. And this is not the correct type of no. This means like, no, you can't do something. They're talking about someone knowing, which is K-N-O-W. So that's a homophone when two words sound the same, but they have different meanings and they're spelled differently. So you need to make sure you have the correct type of wording that means that definition. Like check your theirs. So over here on my markings, if I need to change a word, it says correct spelling, looking at what I want to use here. I'm definitely, I think, going to circle it, and then I have to write K-N-O-W. But the sentence, if I read it back, still doesn't make sense. Do you know Ryan did last weekend? What word could I fill in there that would make sense? And I would need to put a caret. Do you know what Ryan did last weekend? So I should have what here. So my new sentence here should have an indent. And then it says, do you know what Ryan did last weekend? So when I rewrite this, or if I was typing, I would make those changes. However, something else is wrong at the end of the sentence. They have a period. Do you know what Ryan did last weekend? They're asking a question, which means the end punctuation, I'm going to go ahead and cross it out because it should not be a period, and it should be a question mark. I did see some of this wrong in some of your personal narratives, so make sure if you're asking a question, you put a question mark at the end of the sentence. Let's look at the next sentence. He went to the beach with his family. There's a capital at the beginning. All of that is spelled correctly and it's the right word usage. And there's a period at the end. I think that sentence is okay. Let's read the next sentence. First, Ryan builded a huge sandcastle. What at home, friends, doesn't sound correct in that sentence? First, Ryan builded a huge sandcastle. Wow, I think our verb tense is not correct. First, Ryan, should it say build a huge sandcastle? Or first, Ryan built a huge sandcastle? We should have the word built. So it says if the spelling is incorrect, we're going to go ahead and circle it. And I'm going to replace it with the correct B-U-I-L-T for built. And it's also the correct type of verb tense. Let's look at the next sentence. Then he collect seashells and rocks. Something wrong with our verb here again. Then he collect seashells and rocks, or then he collected seashells and rocks. If you said collected, you're correct. So this needs to be changed to collected. And you need to add the ed for the correct verb tense. Make sure you're watching that in your story. Some of you are going from current to past and you're switching it up. Make sure you have the right type of verbs when you're adding your suffix endings in your piece. Let's go ahead and read and look at here. Is there any ending mark here between rocks and after? Because I see a capital with after. It looks like they're missing a punctuation. Let's see how we should punctuate this sentence. Then he collected seashells and rocks. Well, they're not asking a question. It doesn't sound like we're reading it with enthusiasm. So I'm going to use a period. Make sure I circle it so I know that when I rewrite this, this has to be a period there. After that, he goed swimming with his brother. Goed. It's not even a word. Okay, so I need to fix that. Another verb issue. After that, he goed swimming with his brother, or after that, he went swimming with his brother. I think went sounds more proper. Get rid of that goed. And then there's a period at the end, and that's the correct punctuation. They started with a capital in the next sentence. Good. That's a proper noun because it's a name, so I should see all the proper nouns capitalized. Looks like Ryan is capitalized, which is great. Ryan has a wonderful time at the beach. Well, the rest of it's written in past tense. Has is in the present tense. So I need to put that in the past. So to do that, I would have to say Ryan had a wonderful time at the beach. So I'm going to go ahead and circle that, make a change, and put had above it for a new spelling and a new word. And then they ended with a period at the end of the sentence. And that is correct because they're not reading it with excitement. I mean, they could if they wanted readers to read it that way, but there's no question being asked here. So we found an indent, that's 1, the wrong type of no, which is 2, and then added what? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 errors just in the first sentence. And then we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 errors in this piece. Double check again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 errors. I found errors in this piece, such as the wrong type of word usage, indenting. I needed to add a word to make my sentence sound proper. I had to add punctuation or change the punctuation to make sense with the sentence. And this is a big thing I want you to check today is your verb tense. Making sure if you're writing in the past, you keep it that way. If you're writing in the present, you need to keep it that way. So changing your verb tenses. So here's what you're going to do today. Before you move on to your personal narrative, there is going to be a sheet just like this uploaded to ClassKick. And you're going to go ahead and fix that passage. You're going to edit it. You're going to edit it by looking at the spelling, looking at the capitalization, looking at the usage of your words like verbs, and also looking at your punctuation. After you finish that assignment, you'll move into your personal narrative practice, revising and editing. All right, make sure you hop on if you have questions.